7 Secrets to Strengthen Family Bonds After 60. How to Keep Love Alive Across Generations. Somewhere between your 60th birthday and now, something subtle but profound might have happened. You began to see things differently. Not just the world, but your place in it. You've lived through decades of change, watched generations rise, technology explode, traditions fade, and time move faster than anyone warned you it would. And through it all, you've collected something the world often overlooks in its rush: wisdom. Not the kind that shouts, not the kind that's trending or viral, but the quiet, steady kind that's built from late nights with sick kids, years of showing up for others, the painful lessons of love, loss, patience, and endurance. You carry stories, values, and an understanding of life that no textbook, screen, or tweet could ever replicate. That matters deeply. But here's the part no one really prepares us for. Even with all that wisdom, even with all the love you've poured into your family, it can still feel like you're drifting. Maybe conversations have become shallow. Maybe your adult kids are busy. Maybe the grandkids are polite but distant, more drawn to their devices than to your voice. Maybe there's tension from old misunderstandings, or just a quiet erosion of closeness over time. And that can leave you wondering, what happened to the warmth we used to share? Where did the laughter go? Do they even know how much I still want to be part of their lives? Here's the truth. The love is still there. The connection isn't lost. It's just buried under the noise of modern life. And the incredible thing is, you have the power to bring it back. Not by becoming someone new, but by embracing who you already are. You're not just the older one at the table, you're the root of the tree. The foundation, the storyteller, the keeper of calm, and your role in the family. It's more vital now than ever before. This isn't about giving lectures or clinging to the past. It's about stepping into your greatest influence yet. Because when someone over 60 chooses to lead with love, patience, and presence, it changes everything. Family isn't held together by convenience or DNA. It's held together by intention. And you, whether you realize it or not, still have the power to be that intention. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 powerful secrets born from experience, reflection, and heart that can help you strengthen those bonds again. This is about keeping love alive across generations. Not with big gestures, but with small, soulful choices that only someone like you can make. Let's start something real right now. Number 1, storytelling. Your legacy is their anchor. Let me tell you something that most people forget. Stories outlive us. They carry the fingerprints of who we are. Our mistakes, our triumphs, our weird quirks, and everything in between. And after 60, you're not just telling stories anymore. You are the story. You've lived through decades of change. You remember a time when things weren't instant, when relationships were built slowly, and when community was something people lived, not just posted about. And while the world may rush on, your stories can still stop people in their tracks, especially your family. Here's what happens when you share your stories. You create connection without forcing it. You're not just talking about back in my day to make a point. You're giving the younger generation a lens into who you really are. You're giving them a mirror to understand parts of themselves. Maybe your granddaughter struggles with confidence and thinks she's the only one until she hears how. At 23, you once moved to a new city alone with just a suitcase and a head full of fear. Suddenly, you're not just grandma. You're a warrior, a human, a friend. These stories, real, raw, even the silly ones, aren't fluff. They're anchors. They remind your family where they come from, that their roots are strong, that resilience runs in their blood, that someone in their circle has made it through storms and still chooses love. And listen, don't overthink the how. You don't need to write a novel or sit everyone down like it's a history lecture. Just start small. Bring out an old photo album over dinner. Mention a memory that connects to what someone's going through. Record little voice notes telling the story of how you and your spouse first met, or what it was like the day your first child was born. You might think they've heard it all before, but they haven't. And even if they have, they need to hear it again. Because stories told with heart don't just inform, they transform. They make people feel seen. They make family feel sacred again. You are a living archive of meaning. And when you open that archive with love, your family doesn't just remember you, they remember themselves. Number 2, relearn to listen, becoming the safe space they need. Let's be honest, listening is harder than it sounds, especially across generations. You've got decades of lived wisdom. And when someone younger starts talking about their problems or choices, the instinct to jump in, to guide, or even to correct is strong. You know what worked. You know what pain might be around the corner. But here's the secret most people miss. Listening. Real listening isn't about agreeing or solving. It's about understanding. And these days, your kids and grandkids are living in a world that's louder, faster, and more complicated than anything you or I grew up with. Their stresses are different. Their language is different. Sometimes even their values feel different. But the one thing they need, deep down, is the same: to feel safe, to feel heard, to feel accepted. When you become the person in the family who listens without rushing, without judging, and without trying to turn every conversation into a teachable moment, something magical happens. They open up, walls come down, trust starts to grow. You go from being the elder to being the one who gets me. And trust me, that shift can heal years of distance. So how do you relearn to listen? Start by being curious, not corrective. Instead of jumping in with, "You should," try asking, "How did that feel for you?" Or "What are you thinking about doing next?" Let silence be okay. Let their opinions be different without making them wrong. And when you feel the urge to correct or fix, ask yourself, is this about helping them grow or about making myself comfortable? This doesn't mean abandoning your values. It just means putting connection above correction. Because when someone feels heard, they don't shut down. They show up. And in showing up, they give you something far more valuable than agreement. They give you their heart. Listening deeply isn't passive. It's an act of love. It's how you build bridges across time and culture and chaos. And in a world where everyone's shouting to be heard, your quiet presence can be the peace they never knew they needed. You don't have to solve everything. You just have to show up and stay present. That's what love looks like after 60, and that's what builds a bond that lasts. Number 3, bridge tech with love. Embrace their world without losing yours. Technology can feel like a foreign language sometimes, like your family moved to a new country and forgot to give you the map. Suddenly, dinner tables are filled with phones, conversations are cut short by notifications, and your stories compete with scrolling thumbs. It's frustrating, it's isolating. But here's the beautiful twist. Technology, when approached with love instead of resistance, can become your bridge, not your barrier. I know it's easy to write it off, to say, "I don't do all that online stuff," or "They should just come talk to me." And you're not wrong to feel that way. But sometimes, love asks us to step into unfamiliar spaces, not because we have to, but because someone we care about lives there. Think of it this way. When you were younger, you probably adapted to things for your kids without a second thought. You learned to use microwaves, cassette tapes, VCRs, maybe even computers, because your world was changing, and you rolled with it. This is no different. Today's tech is just a new kind of communication, and learning a little of their language can lead to a whole new kind of closeness. You don't need to be a tech wizard. You just need to be curious. Ask your grandchild to show you how to use FaceTime or how to send a voice message. Learn how to text emojis. Explore their favorite app, not to spy or criticize, but to understand. You'd be amazed at how powerful it is when a grandparent sends a silly meme or reacts to a social media post. It's not about the meme, it's about saying, "I see you. I care enough to step into your world." Even better, you can use tech to share your world. Record a video of you making your famous family recipe. Create a digital photo album of old pictures with voice notes explaining who's who. Share a story from your childhood on their favorite platform, or let them film you telling it. Suddenly, you're not just connecting, you're passing down pieces of yourself in a language they're fluent in. It's not about replacing face-to-face moments. It's about keeping your presence alive between those moments. And when they see you trying, something shifts. Respect deepens. The gap closes. You don't lose yourself by learning their tools. You expand the ways you can love them. And in this noisy digital world, a message from you might just be the one they remember most. Number 4. Honor their path. Letting the younger generation choose their own way. Here's one of the hardest truths to sit with as we age. You can't live your family's life for them. You can love them, guide them, share everything you've learned over decades of stumbling, growing, and rising again. But at the end of the day, they have to walk their own path, even if it's one you would never have chosen. Maybe your daughter is raising her kids differently than you did. Maybe your grandson is choosing a career that seems unstable or unfamiliar. Maybe your child has made choices in love, faith, or lifestyle that you simply don't understand. And inside you might feel worry, maybe even grief. But here's the thing, love doesn't mean approval. Love means presence. Love means saying, "I may not get it, but I'm still here." One of the most healing gifts an elder can give is permission. Not permission to be reckless, but permission to be different. When you say, "I trust you to find your own way," you do something powerful. You show them that they're not just loved for following your blueprint, they're loved for who they are. That doesn't mean your values are irrelevant. Quite the opposite. Your quiet confidence in who you are can become a lighthouse for them. But when you lead with acceptance instead of pressure, your influence grows stronger, not weaker. People listen more deeply to those who don't demand to be right. It's natural to want to spare them pain. You've been where they're heading, and you can see the potholes. But sometimes they need to trip a little to learn. And your role isn't to block the fall, it's to be the hand that helps them back up, without saying, "I told you so." This level of love takes courage. It takes trust. It takes letting go of ego and leaning into empathy. But when you make space for their path, even the crooked, confusing parts, you become more than just an elder. You become a safe haven. And that kind of love, it sticks long after the arguments, long after the choices you didn't understand. They'll remember that you stood by them not because you agreed, but because you cared more about the relationship than the rules. That's what builds family that lasts. Not conformity, compassion. Number 5. Rituals and traditions. The thread that weaves generations. The thread that weaves generations. There's something sacred about the things we do again and again, the Sunday dinners, the birthday songs, the holiday recipes passed down like treasure maps. These rituals, whether big or small, are more than routines. They are emotional glue. They hold families together when words fall short. And after 60, you have the power to either revive them or create new ones. Think back for a moment. What were the rhythms that held your childhood together? Maybe it was a certain dish your mother made every winter. Maybe it was a yearly fishing trip with your grandfather. These weren't just nice memories, they were stability, safety, a sense of belonging. And in today's fast-paced world, those anchors are more needed than ever. Rituals don't have to be fancy or traditional in the textbook sense. They just have to be consistent and filled with care. Maybe every Sunday you call your grandkids and read them a story over the phone. Maybe once a month you host a family movie night. Yes, even if it's virtual, maybe on each birthday you write a handwritten letter instead of a text. These become more than just habits. They become expectations your family looks forward to without even realizing it. And if the old traditions feel out of reach, if families scattered, or people aren't showing up like they used to, it's never too late to start new ones. Create something fresh that feels right for this season of life. Maybe you start Wisdom Wednesdays where you share one life lesson by email or video. Maybe you cook one meal a month with a family member and call it kitchen time. Even the act of planting a tree together or taking an annual photo in the same spot becomes a living memory. You don't need to wait for everyone to be on board. You start, you lead with love and consistency. And over time, others feel the pull. Because people crave rhythm. We're wired for it. Rituals remind us that we're not floating alone. We belong to something. And here's the quiet beauty of it all. Someday, long after you're gone, those little traditions will echo. Someone will make your casserole, or repeat your bedtime joke, or take their kids to the same beach, and they won't just remember the ritual. They'll remember you. That's how you stay, woven into the story. That's how love keeps breathing across generations. Number 6. Healing old wounds. Forgiveness is a legacy too. We like to think that time heals all wounds. But here's the truth. Time only buries them. Healing takes something braver. Healing takes forgiveness. And after 60, forgiveness becomes less about who was right or wrong and more about peace. For you, for them, for the ones coming after. Every family has its cracks. Words said in anger. Absences that were never explained. Choices that broke trust. Maybe there's someone in your life you haven't truly spoken to in years. Maybe you sit across from a loved one at the dinner table, and the air between you still feels heavy with things unsaid. And maybe you've convinced yourself that it's too late, or that it's not your job to fix it. But here's something I've learned. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over punishment. It means saying, I won't carry this anger anymore. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to be free. You may never get the apology you longed for. You may never be able to undo the moment that broke something. But you can choose to let go. You can choose a phone call, a letter, a moment of truth. You can choose to say, this hurt me, but I don't want it to define our story anymore. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. The parent you wish you had been. The mistakes you made when you didn't know better. The years lost to pride or silence. But guilt isn't legacy. Healing. And when you begin to show your family what it looks like to forgive, even if it's messy, even if it takes time, you model a kind of strength that's far more powerful than perfection. Rebuilding doesn't happen overnight. It may take awkward conversations. It may not be received the way you hoped, but your effort speaks volumes. And even if the relationship isn't restored, your heart will be lighter. Your home will feel more open. Your spirit will soften. Forgiveness is one of the greatest acts of love you can offer your family. Not just for them, but for every future moment that will no longer be chained to the past. Because when you choose healing, you don't just change one relationship, you change the emotional DNA of your entire family line. Number 7, presence over presence. Giving the gift of time and attention. There's a quiet myth that often sneaks into the hearts of those over 60. The idea that to matter, We must give something tangible. Money, gifts, inheritance. It's what society subtly suggests, that our value is in what we can offer materially. But here's the truth that no price tag can hold. Your presence is worth more than any present. When you show up, not just physically, but emotionally, you're giving something your family can't find in any store. You're giving yourself, your attention, your laughter, your presence at the school play, or the late-night phone call. The way you remember their stories, the way you look into their eyes and make them feel like they matter. Kids don't remember who bought them the latest gadget. They remember who made them feel safe, who showed up when it counted, who listened to their endless stories about dragons, or heartbreak, or exams like it was the most important thing in the world. Adults don't remember all the gifts from childhood. They remember the way their parent or grandparent made holidays magical, or how they sat at the table long after dinner just to talk. They remember who showed love in the ordinary moment. You don't need to compete with a fast-moving world. You are the grounding force. Your quiet consistency is the safety net they might not even realize they need. A 10-minute conversation, a handwritten note, a surprise visit. These are the things that leave echoes in people's hearts long after you're gone. Presence is powerful because it tells someone, you are worth my time. And at this stage in life, your time is the most sacred currency you have. Spend it with care. Spend it with intention. Spend it not trying to impress, but simply to connect. Because the legacy you leave won't be measured in dollars. It'll be measured in the memories you made, the hearts you held, the moments you chose to stay. You don't need to be rich, brilliant, or perfect to make an impact. You just need to be there, really there. That's how you stay alive in the lives of those you love, long after your voice is no longer heard. Conclusion: you are the root, not the past. If you've made it this far, take a deep breath, because what you've just walked through isn't just advice. It's a calling, a reminder that the role you play in your family doesn't diminish with age. It evolves. You're not just the retired one, the grandparent, the wise elder on the sidelines. You are the root of your family tree. And without the root, nothing above can flourish. In a world that sometimes forgets to slow down, you get to be the steady beat. The gentle reminder, the one who holds the stories, the love, the rituals, the forgiveness, and the strength that keeps generations connected. These 7 secrets aren't magic tricks. They're choices. Quiet, intentional choices made day by day. To tell your stories, to listen deeply, to bridge gaps, to honor differences, to create meaning, to heal wounds, and to simply show up with love. And here's the part I don't want you to forget. It's not too late. Not even close. Whether your relationships are close or distant right now, you can start. Whether your family is large or small, near or far, you can create connection. Whether you've made mistakes or just lost your way a bit, you can come home to your role as a force of love in your family. This stage of life isn't the end of your influence. It's the peak of it. You've lived, loved, fallen, risen. You've seen what matters and what doesn't. And that perspective, that grace, that open heart, it might be the exact thing your family needs right now, even if they don't know how to ask for it. So go first, lead quietly, love fiercely, forgive freely, and let your legacy be not just what you leave behind, but the warmth you give while you're still here. Because the real secret to keeping love alive across generations, it's you.